quick bus ride away. Thank you, Eric. Perfect. I'll let Virginia introduce herself before I kind of get started.
Hello, my name is Virginia Wallace. I will be helping you guys out and answering any questions you guys might have. I am from Kentucky, and yeah, let us know if you guys have any questions. Excited to help you guys out.
Awesome. So we just have a couple things to go over today. Eric, did you want to do any general updates prior to reservation?
Why don't you guys start, and then we'll circle back on some of that.
Okay, perfect. So we've got kind of a couple things today. One, we're just going to go over just some features that we hope that everyone is aware of on the owner site. And then we'll review the bonus time request process as well as the float request process. So we'll start with that bonus time process so that any phase 1 owners can leave the meeting after that and don't have to sit through the float process that doesn't apply to them. So we'll definitely start there so that everyone can hear that, and then we'll let you know when we move on to the floats that if you are a phase 1 owner, you can go about your day. But after each process, we will do some Q&A so that y'all can ask any questions you might have, and we can make sure that we're clear before we enter this reservation request process in these next few months. And this really benefits us as a management company to go through this kind of rules and regulations with you guys, as you know, the rules and regulations were created quite a while ago. So we just want to make sure that we're on the right track here, and yeah, be able to answer any questions and make sure we can clarify anything before we start this process. Any additions, Eric, before I get going?
No, I think that sounds about right.
All right, sounds good. I am going to share my screen, so I just want to make sure someone can kind of holler and say, yes, we can see that. So let me know. Should say owner trades. Awesome.
Got it.
Yep.
So this, we are just hoping that everyone as an owner is aware of this already. It's something that we're excited about. It's always a nice option for owners in the fractional world, especially when you have something that you know you're not going to use and have a time that you definitely would like to come up, especially in those fixed weeks timeframes. So on this owner website that you guys have access to, if you need that that password, definitely let us know, and I will include that in our follow-up email that will have this video link as well. But you'll access this through stjamesplace.net. And in the menu section, you have lots of stuff in here that you can kind of access. You've got your contacts, which has been all updated. You have documents. This will be a lot of your rules and regulations, financials, meeting minutes, things like that. So I want to make sure you know and are aware of this. And I'm so sorry if this is a repetitive kind of overview for anyone on the call. And then the big one that we want to make sure everyone's aware of is this trade section, owner trades. And I did go through yesterday and I made sure that it was updated. It seems like it had been neglected for a bit, so since 2020. So all of these are now up to date and hopefully active. If you come on here and you see that you have a trade posting that you have put on there and you would like me to remove it, please just email sjreservations@eastwest.com. Let us know which one is yours and we will remove that. On our end, we can see who the owner is that has posted this. So equally, if you come on here and you see that there's a request that you're interested in, please email us, let us know what the request is, and we can get you in touch with that owner for that trade. Any quick questions on the owner trades before I move on?
Can you let us know which units are available? I noticed that they're not unit numbers on here.
Correct. Yes. So if you find one that you like the dates and the unit size, you can email me and I can let you know those specifics.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. All right. Then I think I have to stop sharing and share a different screen next. Here we go. All right. Can everyone see our calendar? Wonderful. So this is the vacation ownership week calendar. I've distributed it a couple times. I will again distribute it with the email next week that includes, again, this recording. But the big thing that I would really love to draw everyone's attention to is that this year does include a week 53. So I'm going to zoom in a bit here so everyone can see. So this section here, this second column is 2022, and you can see that week 53 does take place on December 31st to January 7th. So what that means is whatever fixed week you had this year, next year you can expect your fixed week to be bumped a week. So when we look up at the top in January, instead of week number 1 being that very first week, including January 1st, next year, 2023, week 1 begins on January 7th. So if you were coming this year, week 5 on January 29th, you won't arrive next year until February 4th. This happens once every 5 to 7 years approximately, and it really does kind of mess with everyone because you get in a pattern year after year, you know what week you're coming, and then all of a sudden we have week 53 that pushes it back. So we just want to make sure that everyone is aware what your fixed week is next year. Again, I will distribute this, but just make sure you take a look and double check what your week number dates are.
Lisa, hey, it's Andy Mankus. I incorrectly sent an email to you. It should have gone to a different Lisa.
I think we
If
might
you
need
could
to
delete it without opening, I would appreciate it.
Are there any
Thank
questions
you.
on this vacation ownership calendar? No? Okay. All right. So first and foremost, we are going to talk about bonus weeks because that does affect everyone, both phase 1 and phase 2 owners. And we got some trying to collect information from Vail Resorts. It seemed a little different people were saying different things. So we thought, you know, we're just going to go right back to the rules and regulations and we're going to build from here. This is the rules and regulations of your ownership in your governing documents. And this is kind of how we are going to be running your bonus weeks. So I've sent this out to everyone this morning. So hopefully you also have it, and feel free to look through and read through your rules and regulations so you know what you are entitled to. But on page 9, it is called unassigned intervals. That is the bonus week time. So unassigned intervals, you can tell it is that bonus week time because it says weeks 15 through 23 and 39 through 46. So if you're looking through on your own and you're worried because you can't find anything that says bonus weeks, just know it is on page 9 as unassigned intervals. So we are going to start this process next Thursday, which is why we wanted to have this, this town hall really soon here, because we are ready to start accepting any requests as of next Thursday, on or after September 1st. Huge, very important caveat here. If we receive any bonus time requests for 2023 prior to September 1st, they will not be honored. So I know that we have been receiving some in the last couple weeks, and I've been trying to get back to those owners as quickly as possible to say, please note we will need this to be resent on or after September 1st. So if you are someone who has sent in a 2023 bonus week request yet, please do know you will need to resend that after September 1st. All requests do need to be in written form. We do provide that request form that you received hopefully this morning. We will be resending that again next week. And I'll resend it a couple times as we go through this process to make sure everyone has full access, and it will be on the website as well. But we'll receive those requests anytime between September 1st and November 1st on a first come, first served basis. Any requests that are received in the same day will be put into a random lottery to make sure that we are being fair of all that were received on that first day, whether that was email or mail. As we know, mailing is always different. So yep, that is first come, first serve. And those requests that we receive before November 1st, we'll compile all those and try to get you those email confirmations out back to you by November 15th. So September 1st to November 1st of 2022 for requests for bonus weeks in 2023. It was a lot of information, so I'll pause in case anyone has questions so far.
So can you still fax it in?
Yes, we have a fax number on the bottom of that request form as well. So there's fax, email, or mailing. We'll have all three options for you.
So you're just gonna throw out my old reservation that I've already done for 23?
If you have sent one in for 2023, it is not accepted until if it's received after September 1st, correct? So if you've sent one in already, you will need to resend it after September 1st. Okay, moving on. After November 15th, we will send out from Owner Relations Department, we will send out a list of what weeks are still available throughout the year of 2023 for bonus weeks to give everyone an option to either reserve if they didn't reserve in the first booking period or reserve another. However, if you are asking for a second and there is an owner who is asking for their first, we will give the priority to the owner who has not already reserved one. So if they did not receive their first priority, a first reservation throughout the first process, they will be given priority over owners who already have been confirmed into a bonus week. And then we'll move on to those owners who have already been confirmed after that. So that would be between November 15th and December 15th. That's that second wave for either a second reservation or your first if you did not receive one in the first process. Between December 15th and January 15th, we will not accept any bonus time requests. We have a bit of a pause there so that our office can breathe and handle the float requests. So we do request that we don't receive any bonus week requests between December 15th and January 15th. Then after January 15th, at that point, we will open it back up as a first come, first serve to all owners and outside general public alike to book that time. Again, honored on a first come, first serve basis and does need to be booked using that same reservation form as well. So that is the request process as a whole. If we have any questions, I'll definitely take those now before moving on to payment.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Any chance the floating week reservation can be switched to online as opposed to a paper form?
The bonus week?
No, the floating week.
Okay, yeah, we'll be speaking about the floating week in the next comment, but I'll definitely touch on that.
Sounds
If
good.
you can bring that back up if I don't remember, please. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ellie, hi, this is
Yes.
Robert and Kim Brown.
Hello.
I have a question. With respect to the January 15th date being open for the general public, maybe you're going to address this in a second when you talk about payment, but the general public is not paying the same rate as the owner sheet you sent out, is it?
Correct. No, good question. That's a great question. That is absolutely true. The rate on this bonus week form, which I'll get a little closer on there for you guys to see that. This is only for you as owners when you book bonus weeks. If an individual from the general public books any of that time, it is at the going rental rate.
Okay. Thank you, Ellie. And one additional question down there after the 15th, because I just didn't have time to read the whole document. What
Yeah,
is
no
the
worries.
priority given to an additional request for an owner versus a general public person?
At that point, it will just be first come, first serve. So when we receive that reservation, if it's still available, we'll book it.
Thank you.
Yep.
This is Doug Gaines. I have a question.
Of course.
I have a bonus week reserved week 39, and I own week 38.
Mhm.
When are you going to send me an invoice for that week, for the bonus week?
That we will be discussing in the payment section here. And I can actually, if you guys don't mind, I will use this question as a transition into that payment, and then save your questions. We'll still definitely have bonus time questions after I talk about the payment for bonus weeks. So through the transition, we had a delay in our payment processor. So we have been slowly trying to get back to getting those payments for the bonus weeks. We are working through that still. So if we haven't reached out to you, send me an email. It might be that we just haven't gotten to your reservation yet, but want to make sure that we cover all of those. So I'd say, to be better safe than sorry, send me an email if we haven't reached out for your bonus week payment yet. Obviously, in a perfect world, we would have had access much earlier, and we'd be able to kind of stick with this 10-day payment window. So that is a big thing that I did want to address and make sure everyone was aware of, that once you book a bonus week, you do need to make a payment in full for that bonus week within 10 days of that reservation. We'll be doing 10 business days, and we will keep track of that in order to kind of help you stay on top of that as well. We really would recommend making the payment while on the phone via credit card. That'll be the easiest way. When we receive your request, we'll book the reservation. We'll send you an email to let you know that that reservation has been booked and is being held until we receive your payment. Then once we receive your payment within 10 days, we'll send an email confirmation. We do really highly encourage credit card payments because there is a 10-day window, and if you mail in a check, it does get a little bit harder to make sure that 10-day window is still, I guess, honored due to some mailing issues in the last couple of years here with our small post office here in Avon. So definitely keep that in mind, that if you'd like to just have it ease and out of your mind, we do take credit card payments for those.
Okay, Ellie, I have a question. We typically come in the spring and the fall. So how can I request 2 different dates, or do you take priority over one, or how do I do that?
Yeah, so and I'll show you guys here. So on our form, our request form, you have a first choice and a second choice. So if you only have one deeded ownership week, then you're going to want to make sure that your first choice is the one that you would rather, in case you can't get both. Again, that first choice will be the one that we do in that first September to November booking window. And then if you see that you have gotten your first choice, then we can move on in the second booking window for you to ask then again for your second choice, if that makes sense and if that answers your question.
Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. Any more questions?
Just as an example for the calendar. So if this year you were, say, week 10, then next year you're going to be week 9.
You'll still be week 10. It's just the week 10 is now associated with March 11 to 18, as you can see here. So this year, if you were a week 10 owner, you came March 5th to March 12th. Okay. Next year, your week 10 will be March 11 to 18.
Oh, okay. So the week number doesn't change, just the days.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay.
Correct. And the reason being is week 52 needs to include the evening of New Year's Eve. So that is why once every couple of years, we have a week 53 to make sure that week 52 owner is entitled to New Year's Eve.
And then is week 53 just open for, like, could we request it?
No, it is included in the contract of those 52 owners.
Okay.
Yeah, that is deeded to them. You cannot split a week, correct? Like a Wednesday to Wednesday for bonus. I have combed through the rules and regulations, and there is nothing opposing a specific start date. So the rules and regulations don't say that it has to start on a Saturday to Saturday. Therefore, if you would like to book a bonus week on a Wednesday to Wednesday, you're more than welcome to, knowing that, you know, if it's a really popular week, it may not be possible because other people will have already booked the Saturday to Saturday.
I have a question.
Mhm.
On the, as far as that payment, let's say you are making a reservation in September, and I'm just throwing dates out there for the question.
Yeah.
But early September for October bonus or floating time, is that 10-day in advance payment? Is it from, even if it's like 6 weeks prior to that reservation, that payment's due 10 days after you guys confirm that, or is it 10 days prior to the actual reservation?
Got it. It is within 10 days after receipt of reservation confirmation. So that is 10 days after you receive our email that says, we've held this week for you. Please send payment within 10 days. So if you email me today for a November 4th reservation, then I'll send you that confirmation email asking for a 10-day window of payment.
Okay, and then second question, as far as general public, how do like adult children, I mean, what or nieces and nephews that are family, what category are they falling into as far as cost or availability?
So your bonus weeks can be booked for exchange, for owner use, or guest use. The only thing they cannot be used for is for you to then turn around and rent them out again.
No. Okay, so they, so if I'm understanding that right, so they are, so would I have to book it for, say, a niece or nephew, but then they get the rates as an owner rate, right?
So you would book it yourself, and then you would call us and put their name as the arriving guest.
Got it. Okay, very good. Thank you.
But they would not be able to call and book themselves.
And what about like close friends that have maybe used it in the past? Is that general public, or is that same thing? I can book it for a guest?
It would be for you, again, you would have to book it yourself. They would not be able to call.
Got it. No problem. Okay, thank you.
And then of course you are liable to whatever costs are incurred while they're there.
Okay, not a problem. Thank you.
This is Nick Mishler. In the past, there were certainly a number of years where, because of capital improvements, there were no bonus weeks year after year. We foresee anything after 2023 that may be similar?
I'll defer to Eric on that one.
You know, that's hard to really say right now. Obviously, capital improvement projects are always part of the discussion and in the works. I would say that we would give you ample notice if there were going to be any sort of substantial impact to your use of the bonus weeks.
Thank you.
I have a question. If I have one bonus week already booked, week 39, if I want to book another one in this year for a week after that, what method do you want me to use to do that?
We still have the 2022 request form available, and I can send that to you if you email sjreservations@eastwest.com. So we'll still, even though we are in this first come, first serve territory for 2022, we do still request it in written form on that request form. But yeah, we are in first come. I'm sorry?
Is there any way to know what the availability is for rooms, say in October and November?
Yeah, definitely. If you give us a call, then we can walk you through the availability over the phone, or you can email and ask us. But yeah, we're really happy to do that. Like I said, for 2022, we are, since last January, officially in the first come, first served window.
Can you
who do you want me to ask for when I call?
Anyone that answers the phone can help, actually. So that'll be either myself or Virginia or Jane.
And what is the phone number, Ellie?
Oh, thank you. Good. 970-393-5018. And all of our contact information is also at the bottom of all the emails I have been sending too. So you can definitely find them there as well.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Ellie, this is Gerald Garrison.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. Are you
You too.
related to Matt?
I'm not, ironically.
I saw that last name and it was like, oh, this is crazy. So
Yeah, we
with
just
that-
wanted to
with-
make everyone feel like there's some consistency. So
I thought maybe you were a sister or a wife. But anyway,
No.
a question for you. Typically, without putting you on the spot, how open is your fall? You know, the November time period. Here we are sitting here in August and saying, oh man, we could, you know, run out there in November real quick. Are you 10% open or 70%? You know, give me some ideas of that, just to know if I called you and said, hey, I got a bonus week coming to me, you know, willing to come out and do this.
Yeah. So I'll only have history for this year. Unfortunately, I'd have to reach back out to Sarah Wood,
That's fine.
or maybe even Erin Jarvis, because I know Sarah was also fairly new. But I can tell you at least this fall, we have quite a bit of openings, especially in late October, early November timeframe. Once you get a little later in November and of course earlier October, it's busier. But I'd say right now, I don't know if it's because owners weren't aware of their ability to book bonus weeks, or if it's just kind of, it is mud season. It makes sense that
Yeah.
people don't want to come out. But yeah, as of right now, we've got a good amount of availability. So definitely give me a call and we can walk through that.
In the 2s and the 3s?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the ones do go faster, I've seen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Of course. And then of course, if there are any questions, still feel free to ask. But this request form that I have sent out and that I will send out again, like I said, it has your first choice and second choice. It has the pricing there, and it does have quite a few of the rules already written on there. So if you ever need a refresh, it'll be right there when you're filling it out. And it has all of the contact information on how to send this to us as well, all three, whether that be the fax, reservations, and I can also add the mailing on there because I see I don't have that. So I will do that. But apart from that, if we don't have any other questions, I think that is kind of really all that I had about bonus time to make sure we're all ready for that September 1st date next Thursday, and how we will be running that process for booking.
Can I have, I'm sorry, I just have a quick question.
No, please feel free.
So is there a week where things in the spring or early summer where they are still closed? Like where things are not happening, like in the village and stuff? Like where somebody told me that there's like an opening date or something like that.
Yes, it changes every year. It's based on weather, really, and also staffing. But as far as lifts, it's normally about June 15th, June 19th that they open the lifts back up for hiking. Again, a lot will be based on how much snow is still out there. And once the mountain closes, I would say a lot of the restaurants and activities will end either just as the mountain closes or the very next week. So again, that is all really subject to change based on how late the mountain stays open. And then I would say that historically things tend to open up mid-June. And restaurants and things open up at the end of May.
Ellie, hi, I have one additional question. This is Robert Kim Brown, and it's kind of building off a question that a lady asked earlier. Let's say that we were attempting to get a bonus week, like for instance, in this particular example, 25, because it falls on with our normal 24, but we also wanted to request a fall date. In other words, 2 bonus weeks. I noticed you mentioned, you said put which you wanted the most on the form, but it's really more of a process question. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, I send it in on September 1st. So I'm in the lottery, if you will, or whatever you want to call it. And So you're going ahead and place out my first choice at that date from sending it in on September 1st. Do you only put the lottery date in from my first choice, and then you have to wait until other people are sorted with their first choice before you even attempt to place the second choice? Is that the way I understand it works now?
Correct. So the first time you send it in on September 1st, you'll have your first choice and your second choice there. I will book either one, whichever one is first available. So obviously if your first choice is available, that will be the one I book. If it's not available, again, I will book the second choice. Then let's say I get to book your first choice in that first September 1st form and booking window. Then that form will then kind of be nulled, and you'll need to send in another one for the second process. That's between November 15th and December 15th. And at that point, you would put your second choice as your first choice. So that would be your second, rather than giving everyone the option and opportunity to book two in that first booking window. We give everyone just the opportunity to book only one in that first booking window, so that the folks that didn't get anything booked in that first booking window then have priority to get something in the second booking window, if that makes sense. Because they will be prioritized in that second booking window if they didn't get anything in the first one.
Ellie, this is Gerald again. I have a question, kind of a personal question about golf courses. Are all are like Red Sky, Beaver Creek, and some of those, are they pretty well open during mud season, or are they closed up as well? Do you know?
They are, yeah, they normally don't open until I would say the earliest is the end of May, but definitely June. Again, based on weather. They might open like 9 holes earlier than the whole course, but you know, you've always got Gypsum Creek out in Gypsum.
Yep.
They're open.
Yep.
They try to be open all year.
Thank you.
Yes, of course. I do have one question on the chat asking, how do I know if I am phase 1 or phase 2? So phase 2 are owners who own, and what I'm going to do is I'll tell the units that are phase 2 units. So if you do not own one of these units, then you are phase 1. So phase 2 units are 103, 105, 203, 204, 205, 206, and 302, 303, 304, 305, and 306. So if you don't own one of those units, then you are phase 1.
But you blanked out for a moment. Could you repeat those numbers?
Sorry. Yes. Thank you for letting me know. 103, 105, 203, 204, 205, 206, 302, 303, 304, 305, and 306.
And what's the problem with those units?
Oh, there's no problem. It's a different phase of ownership. So there was phase 1 was the first ownership sold, and phase 2 was a second. So they have different deeds.
So if you have one of those units that you listed, then you get a bonus week. Is that what you're saying?
No, all owners, both phase 1 and phase 2, have access to the bonus weeks.
What is the primary difference?
It is the deed and ownership that they have. So the phase 1 is a fixed timeshare ownership, and phase 2 is a fixed / float, what we call fractional ownership.
Thought we were a fractional. We are on phase 1 fractional. She's saying phase 2. We have a fixed week.
Yeah. Do we have any other questions on bonus time? Or bonus
Well,
weeks?
yes. Does the number of units that you own affect your priority for bonus weeks?
Interesting question. It doesn't affect your priority. However, you have the ability to have a bonus week per contract. So if you have one ownership, then you will only be sending in one request week form. And we'll be looking at that with this section right here that says I own unit number for interval. So if you own unit 107, interval 3, you'll put this here with this form and send it in. If you also happen to own unit 115, week 5, you would then have another form for unit 115, week 5. So you can, in fact, have one bonus week per ownership in these request windows. So there's not a priority given to anyone, but I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Ellie and I, this is Robert and Kim Brown. I have one additional question to follow up. Again, another question that an individual asked earlier. Let's say, for the sake of argument here, we have 2 sons and they each want to come up, and we're coming up too. And our fixed week is 24. And so we would prefer to have 3 bonus week rooms, if you will, but they're not all for me. They're for my 2 sons and my wife. So from a process standpoint, and again, I'm trying to build off this earlier question, do I submit a form for each one of us and then say that week 23 is our first choice? Or do I have to submit the first choice for my wife and I, and then for my children are like second and third choices? I mean, I'm a little confused around if you're bringing up guests and or family and you're attempting to get more than one room for just my wife and I, because we have children coming and we would prefer to have the same week. How do you go about submitting that? Is that 3 submittals with the first choice for each of the 3?
No, so again, you can only have one request form submitted per ownership. So you can only submit one request form. If you want multiple weeks, then you would be doing another request form in the second booking window from the November 15th to December 15th. If you wanted 3 bonus weeks, then you would have to wait until after January 15th to try to book a 3rd. So you can only book one bonus week within those 2 booking windows, one bonus week within September 1st to November 15th or November 1st, and then another between November 15th and December 15th, and then you can book another if you'd like after January 15th. But you can only book one per ownership within each booking window. The reason we have those 2 booking windows is that we want to give owners the opportunity who did not receive anything that they requested in the first booking window to have an opportunity to book something in that second booking window as first priority because they didn't already receive one. Does that make sense?
But back to my question.
Yes, it does make sense, but I would say it's very different than what was done previously. And I'm not arguing with what the rules say, but I'm just practically speaking out loud to the group. If you wish to have family come up with you, what you just described is probably going to make it very difficult to achieve.
It might be. And so I think, you know, sending the first choice being week 23 in the first one, you can still send it as your first choice in the second one, and then again, send it as your first choice in the third. And like you said, it might make it more difficult, but to your point, we do know that things may have not been followed with Matt. They may not have been followed again after. We're just trying to, since we're a new system, we're a new owner relations department, we're really just trying to go by those rules and regulations and build from the ground.
Yeah, you know, one thing I would mention is that the rules are written in an effort to be equitable to all owners. And so like week 23 is, say, a desirable unit. And if you want 3, who's to say somebody doesn't want 10, and our first 2 submittals gets everything for that week for 3 owners and their extended family. And so we're really just trying to go by the rules and make it equitable for everybody.
Yeah, and that's fine. I certainly understand. I'm just listening to the application, the rules, make sure I understand the process, because it's always fun to bring up family. And I think in essence, what we're saying is with these rules, you're really not going to know if you can bring up a family or a guest member till really the end of the year. I mean, you'll know on your side, but in terms of adding additional guests or family members with the 2 and 3 step process, they may or may not know until probably around December 15th.
Right. And you could always wait until the first come, first served period to know if you've got inventory available for your entire party. And these if you were to go in and get your first choice and find out that you weren't able to get the additional units you needed, the reservations are cancelable and refundable within 30 days of arrival.
What happens if somebody cancels and you had requested something that was a first choice? Do you then get notified about that, or just have to reapply?
Assuming that might happen fairly often, and we have up to about 2,500 ownership contracts, we probably will not be reaching out. We can do a wait list if you call in and want to be on a wait list for a specific week that opens up. But as far as reaching out to owners based on what their first choice was, and if they did not receive that, we won't be reaching out.
Oh, no, wait list is fair.
And Eric did bring up a good point as well, that the cancellation period is 30 days. So there are no refunds within 30 days of your arrival date. All right, any last questions about bonus time?
Yeah, my name's Nancy. I have one more question. So if you decide to book a week in October and you get that as your bonus week, and then it comes so later on in July next year, so I find that my family wants to come, I'm allowed to book a second condo for that same week if there's availability at these rates?
In July?
No, my week is in July, but say I've booked a week in August, the first week of August. Now, next year in July, family, there's an opportunity for them to come that first week of October. And if there's availability, am I allowed to book a second week at those ownership rates? So
yes, as long as they are within this bonus time kind of window. So the week 15 to week 23 and week 39 to week 46. Then yes, after January 15th, it is first come, first serve for the rest of the year. So even right now, if you said I want to book October 15th, it's first come, first serve. I can get that booked for you.
But can I book? I can book actually 2 rooms if there's availability, one for us and one for our family.
Yes.
Oh. Well, come on, family. Okay, thank you.
Of course.
One last question. For each unit you own, you're allowed to submit one of these forms. Is that right? Okay.
Correct.
So you might ask for the first choice, your first choice, you might ask for 3 units, that first choice, if you already own 3 units.
Correct. Yes. If you have 3, and again, that's where this section of the request form becomes pretty imperative here, because I need to make sure that you are putting these requests in under different ownerships. If any of the request forms that we receive have the same unit number and interval number here, then I'll probably be reaching out to that owner to say, which form would you like me to use? Because you can only have one per ownership.
Okay, that I understand. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. I think before we move on to floats, since people can kind of head out if they're not phase 2, Eric, did you want to do a general update? Anything you had to let anyone know?
Sure. Yeah. So we've been here hard at work trying to dial in our process and come in here and make a good assessment of the plant, property, and equipment here at St. James Place. We've got it's a tall order. There's a lot that we're going to be working on. We just had a board meeting last Friday where the board and Rescom approved a number of projects. And so this fall, we're going to be working on a new hot water heating plant, substantial roof upgrades, new unit door entry locking systems, and moving forward next year to do a full modernization on all 5 elevators. And yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And so we're really excited to be here. It's been great to get to know everybody. If anybody has any questions about what we're doing from the property management side, I'd be happy to take those.
And I missed that. Is there going to be any planned assessments?
Not currently. So we're working on our 2023 budget right now. Our budget meeting is going to be on September 14th. That'll be included with our annual meeting notice, which is the annual meeting is going to be on October 25th. We're going to explore a variety of funding options to try to cover the projects. There won't be any assessments associated with what I specifically just mentioned. Obviously, we're looking at, a re-roof and some, interior and exterior upgrades here in the next 5 to 7 years. And so there'll be certainly more to come on that as we get our arms around it.
Okay, thank you.
May I make a suggestion to you, Eric?
Certainly.
And I had made this suggestion to one of the former managers or directors or whatever your title is. At any rate, it seems to me that when we stay at the St. James, sometimes I will notice something that needs work and I'll mention it, and then it's like, unless it's urgent, it doesn't look like it gets much attention. And I wondered if it would be helpful for the St. James management to hand out some sort of a form geared to the owners that occupy, not renters probably, because they wouldn't be willing to do it or want to do it, but the owners might be interested in taking enough time to sort of look for problems and warn you about them or mark them down so that you and your staff could tend to them in a timely manner, rather than wait till the problems get so bad they require more expensive fixes.
Right. Well, I appreciate you saying that. And that's certainly the position that we're in now, where things had kind of gotten behind schedule. And so we're really forced to have to play catch up on quite a few infrastructure items and sort of shift our focus from some of the aesthetic items. And our owners, y'all have spent more time in the units in one night than I'll probably have the opportunity to really see in, 6 months. And so I appreciate having all these sets of eyes and ears out there, and certainly welcome any feedback and suggestions. One thing that we're implementing on October 1st is a new property management software called Vantica, where homeowners will have the opportunity to put forth official and documented maintenance requests through the website. And so we'll be able to track it and you'll be able to see updates. And so that's something that's very, very important and that we always pay attention to. So I appreciate your mindset there.
Thank you.
Hey, Eric?
Yes, sir.
Art Morales. I think the gentleman brought up a great question on the inspections, and I'm on the board. I serve as president. I just want to emphasize that that's one reason we took a deep dive as to what wasn't getting done. And so we decided to see if we could make a change. And that's a very good question you brought up. I've been on the board about 10 years, and with Vail Resorts, it took 6 years to get an extra towel rack in the master bathroom. So your question is very important. And I am convinced from what I've seen in 6 weeks here, with East West that that shouldn't be anything we have to contend with. We made the big change because we were not getting weekly inspections as required by the management agreement and about 10 other things. So we decided to make this move. And as I told Eric, I think I've been able to sleep now for the last 2 months. And this board has worked very hard on, we're fortunate to have a good team. One of our board members is, for example, is an electrical contractor. And we even found where the wires were cut out in the plaza during the transition. I'm not saying Vail did it. I'm just saying that that was addressed, and that's why it's a brighter plaza right now. So your question is very important. I'm convinced East West is going to follow up on all of your things that need fixing.
Well, from time to time, I would notice that things were obviously broken, but the maids or the service people weren't paying attention to it. It's like they just wanted to cover it up, and I don't know. So I thought maybe if they said something about it, they'd get in trouble. And maybe if they had a little help, like if I said it, or if I had a form to fill out that let me make these suggestions, maybe things could be picked up earlier. That's all.
Yeah, maybe it could be done if convenient at checkout time, but you're correct, sir. And that's one reason we made this change. And we want to make sure this is a 5-star resort property. And what we're thinking about putting on our website all the inspections we've done recently that East West has done, and you'll have something by the annual meeting on the challenges that we're doing right now. One of the things that when we were addressing the roof 2 years ago, we had our own separate independent structural engineering report done, and we found some things that weren't getting looked at by Vail. And so we held off, knowing we may have to do the roof back then. We held off on probably $500,000 worth of other projects. Those are going to be addressed starting next year. The roof is probably 5 to 6 years away now. And hopefully that'll be a blessing, because inflation, as you know, is very high. Sheet of plywood that normally costs $7 went up to $80.